All right, so we are getting started with our number 2 week of Gold Star School, which is working with people. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the different ways that we can communicate and the different ways that we can learn to work with people. I think one thing that's really, really important is that we learn about ourselves first. It is so important that you know who you are. And sometimes people don't want to take the time to learn who they are, maybe because they're scared of who they are, they don't like who they are. I mean, there's lots of different reasons why you might not want to find out who you are, but it is so important. So, there's lots of different things we're going to talk about. One is the personality test, and some of these things you guys have heard of before. The second thing is strength finders. The third thing is spiritual gifts. The fourth thing is love languages. And then, of course, circumstances. That is going to play into finding out who you are. I have this book that I've been reading called The Big Leap. It's by Gay Hendricks. And honestly, I wasn't really sure at the beginning how I was going to like it, but it's talking about the upper limit and how we all do things that kind of sabotage us from doing things better or receiving abundance. And it's preparing us for that. It talks a lot about your zone of genius. And I actually wanted to read part of it to you, and now I don't know what that part was. So I can't really go into that, but let's see. But surely I don't remember what it was, and I didn't make good notes in there. But let me just read one excerpt from it. This is from I think chapter 1 still, but this is what it says. There's only one way to get through the fog of fear, and that's to transform it into the clarity of exhilaration. One of the greatest pieces of wisdom I've ever heard comes from Fritz Perls, MD, the psychiatrist and founder of Gestalt therapy. He said, "Fear is excitement without the breath." Here's what this intriguing Here's what this intriguing statement means. The very same mechanisms that produce excitement also produce fear, and any fear can be transformed into excitement by breathing fully with it. On the other hand, excitement turns into fear quickly if you hold your breath. When scared, most of us have a tendency to try to get rid of the feeling. We think we can get rid of it by denying or ignoring it, and we use holding our breath as a physical tool of denial. It never works, though, because Dr. Pearls has pointed out the less breath you feed your fear, the bigger your fear gets. The best advice I can give you is to take big, easy breaths when you feel fear. And I'm just in the beginning of the book, but it was a great reminder to know yourself. And so that's basically where we're starting at. Okay. So, do you know your personality? And I want to show you, let's see if I can pull this up. Oh, okay. I'm going to pull up this document. And these are actually on my website. They are under the directors only tab. If you would like the access to this, there's honestly nothing in here that you can't have access to. So feel free to let me know if you want the access to this DISC information. But what I want you to look at right here is this circle. And on your paper, I want you to write that circle. Okay. And I want you to put the D in the upper left quadrant, the I in the upper right quadrant, the S in the lower right one, and the C in the lower left one. Okay. Now I realize this is going to be a crash course, and some of you have already looked at this information. Okay. But what's important is to study this information because I mean, I've been in Mary Kay almost 26 years. And every time we talk about personalities, we talk about strength finders. I've been studying that now for over 6 months. I'm learning something new, not only about the concept, but I'm learning about myself. And in order to connect with other people, I need to know who I am. And so the first thing is, what is your personality? Do you know your personality? So in this quadrant model here, the D and the I, if you want to make an arrow going across the top, that would be fast paced. So if you're a fast paced person, you're probably dominantly either a D or an I. Okay. So that's going to be fast paced, D and I. So across the top, you want to write fast paced. Okay. Across the bottom, the C and the S, they're going to be slower paced. Okay. Now that doesn't mean they're slow. That just means they're slower paced. They like to take their time at certain things. Okay. Neither one is right or wrong. Okay. On the right side, the one with the I and the S, those two are going to be relational. Okay. People oriented. So on the I and the S, you're going to draw a line, and that's going to be people oriented. Okay. On the left side with the D and the C, those are going to be task oriented. Okay. So you probably can do a pretty good guesstimate as to what your main personality would be based on just, are you fast paced or slow paced? And are you people oriented or task oriented? Okay. Now, this is your dominant. The whole idea is for us to be balanced with all of those quadrants. Okay. But it takes some time to know which one or how, I guess, to become balanced with all four of those. Okay. So if you can, write in the chat which dominant personality you think that you are. Okay. Are you a D, an I, an S, or a C? So a D personality is going to be fast paced and task oriented. Okay. And I is going to be fast paced, people oriented. And S is going to be people oriented and slower paced. A C is going to be task oriented and slower paced. Okay. So a D is what we call a dominant personality type. That doesn't mean good or bad, okay? But a D personality is probably going to be those that are in charge, okay? You want to have a D personality who's in charge of things, okay? So are you in charge of an office? Are you in charge of, a business? Or are you a coach, a head coach? Those kind of people are going to probably be a D personality. And I personality is going to be the one who has all the fun glitter everywhere. That would be me. So the person that's all about the fun and making things, exciting, that's going to be the I personality. The S is going to be the family oriented person. Okay. They're going to be the ones who always have the homemade cookies. They're talking about, they're the nurturer. They're the ones taking care of, people. They're the nurturer. Okay. The C is going to be probably the accountant, the person who is detail oriented with numbers, task, um, organization, those types of things. Okay. So, any questions on that? This right here is the DISC quiz, and I would highly, highly recommend that you take this quiz. If you've never taken it, you don't know what you are, I would take the test. Okay. It's super easy. This is an informal test. This is not like, professional test, but it can give you an idea. Okay. So in each row, you're going to pick the word that describes you most of the time. Okay. Now, obviously, too, whether you're in your work setting or your home setting, you can be a little bit of a different personality. Okay. Or dominant personality. Okay. So, let's see. We've got a variety. Okay. 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 So now the important thing is every personality has a basement and a balcony. Okay. And so what happens sometimes is when we are in a stressful situation or a new situation, or maybe we've had circumstances that are happening in our life, we can actually create um, our personality in the basement. Sorry, I'm getting really hot. So, our personality, instead of being in a positive way or affecting people in a positive way, we can actually function in the basement, which might be more negative and it could be offensive to people. Okay. So, for example, I'm just going to use myself as an example. Okay. So, maybe, maybe we're at seminar and I'm really excited about seminar. And so I want to have all the pictures, right? Or maybe I want to have all of the confetti, right? Or I want to have the matching glasses, right? And, someone else is experiencing heartache or some sort of, trouble, or maybe it creates lateness. And so that can create a negative atmosphere for other people. So it's really important that we're aware of the other people that are around us and how we come across. Okay. If you are, maybe you're a D personality, and I can refer to this because that would be what my husband is. And maybe he's all about, the task at hand, and that we do it quickly, and that we need to pay attention, and we need to be responsible, and all that kind of stuff. And then no, there's no fun, right? And that can be offensive. Someone who is wanting to have a little bit of fun, then they can be like, oh, there's just no fun. You're just all about this and this and this. And then that can cause, some turmoil, right? Or it can cause some friction. So you get what I'm saying? That's why it's important to know who we are and how we can relate to other people and paying attention to other people, because sometimes we can come off as strong in that area and it can make other people feel uncomfortable. So, for example, some people feel like they don't want to be the sales type, right? The sales type is going to be someone who's high pressured, stay till you buy, like you got to do this, you need to buy this, this is what you need to buy. Okay. That can come off offensive to people and the sales type people. Okay. And a lot of people don't want, they're not going to come back and buy from us if we are the sales type. Okay. Do you see what I'm saying? So we have to be careful as to who we are closing, how we talk to them, how we communicate with our um, customers. Okay. Now this can be team members, customers, you know, your consultants, if you're a director, this can be other consultants that are, you know, around us in the pink bubble, you know. This can really affect people. Okay. So you want to remember that if you are in a circumstance where you're not yourself because maybe things are stressful, or maybe you know that you get anxious in certain, you know, situations, how can you create less anxiety so that you're not coming across as, you know, pushy or high pressure or drawn back? You know, sometimes like our S's in their balk or in their basement personality, they draw back and they tend to not say anything, right? And so then people can be like, what's wrong with, you know, so and so, or did I hurt her feelings, or, you know, what happened? And so we have to remember that we communicate. And, you know, sometimes it's just like, hey, I'm just really excited, so I'm sorry if I'm coming across pushy, or if I'm drawn back. I just want you to know I'm taking it all in. I'm trying to like observe everything. Okay, so communication is really, really important. Okay, so balcony, basement. I'm not going to be able to tell you everything about this tonight because we just don't have enough time. But these are things that I suggest that you really dive into, like find out more information about it. Strength finders is something that's really new to me. And then in the last 6 months, I have been paying for a coach. I'm working with Kevin Keppel, and I will tell you what, it has made as much of a difference for me now as the DISC personality type changed my life 20 years ago. It has brought confidence back into my well-being, um, because I know my strengths, I know who I am, and I have, not completely, but I have, I'm working on not questioning myself, decisions that I make, and who I am. And so it's called the Clifton's Strengths. You can Google it, take the test. If you want to get the whole 34 tests, I think it's $50, but you can buy the book, which I don't have right here, but you can buy the book and it's $15 and you can unlock your top 10, I believe. And it is 100% worth it. Okay, 100% worth it. And there's a podcast, you can learn about it. I know my top 5 strengths are empathy, achiever, positivity, includer, and activator. So, one is going to get me emotional. One thing I've learned about myself is that I tend to feel everybody's feels, and that's the empathy in me. And so sometimes when I feel like I'm overwhelmed by emotion, it's because I'm feeling that empathy for everybody. And so, in some senses, I try to make everybody comfortable and happy. And, you know, I want them to feel cared for and loved. And although that's a really great quality, I can get overwhelmed by that because I can't be all things to all people. So I'm learning to streamline that strength, and when it's good to be in that strength, and when I need to draw a boundary. So, that would be why when I do coaching calls, I have to stick to a form. And that is because in the first 5 minutes, and you tell me about your week and how crazy it was, or how horrible it was, or whatever, I can get into all those feels and I never get to your coaching. And that's why. And so now I know a little bit more about myself. And so I can help you better. So all of this is really structuring around helping other people because we um, know ourselves and we know how we can work with other people because we know ourselves well. Okay. Spiritual gifts. There are anywhere from 12 to 22, depending on who you talk to. And a spiritual gift is really, I mean, it's a blessing and something that you can receive from the Holy Spirit. And I believe that everyone has their own gifts, and it is important that you know what your gifts are. If you've not taken a spiritual gifts inventory, I would suggest you do that too, because knowing your spiritual gifts are going to help you with, being able to work with other people. You're going to know, okay, that's not in my league, but Steph is really great at that. So I'm going to send this person to Steph. Okay. Love languages. Everybody receives love in a different way. There are five: affirmation, physical touch, gifts, quality time, and acts of service. Okay. How do you feel loved? Now, there's also a test for this as well. Like, do you feel most loved when somebody tells you how awesome you are and they affirm you? Do you feel most loved when someone gives you a hug or someone touches you, or, you know, that kind of thing? Do you feel most loved when somebody gives you a gift? Do you feel most loved when someone spends quality time with you? Or do you feel most loved when someone serves you? Is maybe your husband just randomly does the dishes? Okay. What is your love language? So, all of these things combined with your circumstances, okay? Some of us going through a positive circumstance, sometimes going through a negative circumstance, those are all going to be a part of who we are. And the more that you know about yourself, and the more that you know what makes you tick, what your needs are, what your personality is, what your strengths are, what your spiritual gifts are, then you know exactly how to work with other people. You know how to work with your customers. You know how to work with your team. You know how to work with future team members, and you know how to work with your Mary Kay family. So it's important that you really make it a priority to get to know yourself. And I'm sure that you probably thought this training was going to be on specifically how to work with other people, which it can be. And there's more to this subject that we could go over. But I think for right now, what's really important is that you make yourself a priority and getting to know yourself better. If you don't know all those things about yourself, then dig in. Like, what's the next step? That's going to be your homework assignment, is what part of these could you learn about yourself that you don't know? Do you know your personality type? If you don't, then you need to do that test. Okay. Do you know your strengths? If you don't know, then buy the book, take the test. Okay. Do you know your spiritual gifts? If you don't, then take the test. What about your love language? Okay. Have your husband or your significant other take the love languages test too. You guys, it's amazing at how you can really learn to serve your husband or your significant other or your parent or whoever. You can really, they can receive love better. So, for example, Kirk is acts of service. And honestly, that's not been at the top of my list. I'm like, I'll do my own dishes. I'll do my own laundry. But I have really learned to appreciate who he is and how he shows me his love. And one thing that it's done is it's really it's made me want to serve him more. And I can say in the last year or two, I have really put a focus on trying to serve him more, because I know that's his love language. And I know that I want him to feel that love from me, and I can give him a gift. I can, grab his hand, but those aren't going to mean as much as if you know, I don't know, cleaned his part of the sink, or, if when he get arrives from an outing, I go out and I try to help him unload his truck. Those kind of things are going to mean more to him than how I would naturally want to show him my love. Does that make sense? Okay. Um, okay. So on that note, Kirk and I were talking on our way home tonight, because he offered to kind of share a little bit with husbands. And just as we're wrapping things up, I said, okay, if you were going to talk about um, how how we can how our husband or how we can work with our husbands better in our Mary Kay business, what would you say? And he said, well, I think a couple of things are really important. First of all, that you define support. What is your definition of support? What does that mean to you? If your husband or your significant other is going to support you in your Mary Kay business, what does that look like to you? Because everybody's support looks different. Okay. Maybe you just want him to go to seminar next year, or maybe you want him to fix dinner on Monday night so that you can be on your call. Okay, what does support look like to you? And you definitely need to define that. The other thing is he capable of that? Is that something he's capable? What is his schedule like? What's his energy like? What if someone is, let's just say they're working nights and you want them to have dinner on the table right before they walk out of the door to go to work? Is that realistic? You know, Maybe that's sandwich night. And it's not an expectation for either of you. Okay. So being a little bit more creative, are your expectations realistic for that to happen? And so had a conversation about that. And I felt like those were really two good points on, what we can, or how we can work with our husbands better with our Mary Kay business and even life. Okay. So, anybody have any questions? I want to honor your time, and it's 8:40. So, we'll finish up, but your homework assignment is, what is one way that you're going to get to know yourself better this week? I want you to text that to me tonight or tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning. How are you going to get to know yourself better this week? And then let me know that you finish that up next Sunday evening.
Hey, Jen, what was the Strength Finders book you were talking about? What was the name of it?
It's called Clifton Strengths.
Okay, that's the one I found. There's like a lot on there.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would also suggest on the love languages, very much focus on either relationships, like your partner relationships or your business. Mine are completely and totally different. Yes. My husband, it's acts of service, but with my friends, it's quality time. I don't need them to do anything for me. I want to be with them. So make sure you have your mindset straight.
That's a really good point. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think, right here, we're specifically talking about our business, but I think that this can definitely help our relationships as well, which affects our business. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really good point that she makes. When you're going into this, you're learning your personality, your strengths, your spiritual gifts, and your love languages. Are you recognizing that this is for your business or for your relationships? And maybe take it twice. If you're taking your personality test, this is my business personality. Okay. This is my home personality, because they can be totally different. I would say mine is pretty much the same now. But when my babies were at home, I would say they were definitely different, because I was more of a nurturer. I was just different than I was when I was running my business. So definitely, definitely keep that in mind. So thank you for saying that. Okay. Any other questions?
I know you said you could find all this on your page. That's when I came in. The PowerPoint you were looking at, where can I find that?
Okay. Go to believearea.com.
Say that one more time. I had a screaming child.
That's all right. believearea.com, all lowercase. And then you're going to go to directors only tab. And the password is either believe or achieve. It used to be username and password. And I just noticed that there's only one place for you to put that. So I'm not sure if it's believe or achieve, but it's one of those. And you'll see a section that says DISC, and all of those are available to you. I would take the one that says it says DISC quiz. I think that's the best one, DISC quiz. I do have it downloaded, so if you just want me to email it to you, I can do that too.
That might be easier.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Text me your email address and I can send that over to you.
Can you email both? Do you have both of them? The definition page and the quiz page?
I can do that. I sure
I'm
can.
not able, I'm trying to log in with either of those and it's not working for me.
Okay. Yeah, send me, if you want me to send you those, just text me your email address and I'll do it right now.